50% attendance rate at the moment for this season in Conbooth.
I mean, we've got to at this point. You know, the lead comes, and he's only been here about half of the times. There's still more points than he scored overall, anyway. But you know, he's got to do better.
It'll be second half of the season. He's on a title charge, mate. Trust me.
Well, we shall wait and see with that. But yeah, of course, here for Division 4 for this evening. It's the first time I'm actually doing comms on D4, so I'm expecting some absolute great things, as what you were saying before we started this stream as well, Jack. So I know I've got the standings up that Rezify is on top with 73 points. Pastor Japsa, I'm going to keep on calling him Pastor Jasper, I think. But Japsa,
I'll do the same.
He's in second with 59 and Mr. Vouter in third with 58. But of course, with him missing 2 races last time out, Patsa missing the last race as well at Silverstone. It kind of gave Rezify like an easy-ish win last week.
Yeah, last week was I wouldn't say it wasn't like the easiest of wins. He was just everything seemed to fall in his way. Like he was challenging for it, and then people got into their own messes. Well, if you want to see an easy win, Japsa at Monaco, I think he won by it was like 22 seconds just on raw speed.
Yeah.
So it was ridiculous. But every single week we've had different winners. Last week was the first time we had a 2-time winner in Rezify. So everyone's. I mean, I don't think we see is Walter. Yeah, Walter's here. So everyone's here that's in the title fight, which is good to see, and we can see like how close people are.
Yeah. So we might actually see. Well, because as you said, it was the second winner that we've had in Division 4 now. Last week, or was it a second time, or first time? Sorry, that someone's actually won twice in Division 4 this week. So we should wait and see how it's going to go down today. A lot of guys already doing their laps. Steven and Tyes look like they're on the medium tyres, but everybody else going on a set of the softs. Just trying to see who is the one that's the furthest along. Well, I was going to have a look, but Rezify already with a bunker of a 27.5 for Division 4. That's pretty bloody quick.
That's 3 attempts off my PB. So says everything. And he ran out of VRS. I don't know if that's a common thing. I've not actually done an online lap, but he ran out of VRS quite far before the straight, so I'm not sure if that's too common. I'm sure you probably have more insight on that.
Yeah, it does happen sort of like just as you're coming up towards the pit lane line, you can tend to run out of a bit of VRS from that. But you were talking about Rezify doing that lap. Look at Jelly. He just put it
well, I'm gonna point you out to Jelly, right? This guy, I'd argue, top 3 fastest in this division, minimum. His qualifying is incredible.
Okay.
We are in round 6, he has 0 points.
Oh.
He DNFs or does not start every race that he turns up to. So he's just missing that little bit to actually convert it into a result. It reminds me of my first half of my D4 season when finishing a race was a mystery. So Gel could do some really good bits, and maybe if it's too late to challenge for the title, he could steal points off the people that are fighting for it. So it'll be fun to see him hopefully start getting in the points.
Maybe Saudi Arabia might be his day. You never know, especially considering that he's on pole at the moment. So 27 for a banker is very, very well done. I'm just riding on board with Japsa at the moment, going quite wide at turn number 8, I think that was, and end up invalidating his lap. So he's going to have to bring that straight back around. But yeah, a lot of guys already getting their laps on the board quite early on. And yeah, obviously Gel on Rezify, Oscar as well. Done 2 laps on the set of the soft tyres. So bit of an interesting one, but I mean, I suppose why not? I guess like if you feel like you're going to go a bit quicker, then obviously go for it. And a little bit of just sort of cutting the track as well to try and get back to the pits as quick as possible. Again, don't particularly want to be seeing that, but yeah.
I think so, well, someone might report that.
Yeah, we shall sort of wait and see. I'm running board at the moment with, of course, the division coordinator, Mr. Ariel Jordan, making his way around the loop now, and I think he's got one of the Mercedes. I think that might be Steve Day just behind him, but yeah, Jordan coming through now through this sector 2 section, nice and keeping it nice and tight through the walls and around that middle chicane as well. I know a certain Killer Blue doesn't like to call it a chicane when it is, and Stephen's
Oh,
been disqualified.
Yeah, I just went on board of him then. I was confused with what he was doing. He went to go into the pits and he stopped before the line, and then he just stayed there.
That's strange.
So he, like, before the speed, like the pit lane line for his speed, I thought he was just slowing down to make sure he didn't speed, but then he just kept his car there and didn't move before crossing, and now he's been disqualified. So
That is very, very strange.
has he got a quali ban that we don't know about? I don't remember him doing anything.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think so. So that's very strange. But yeah, so yeah, Stephen's going to be starting at the very back of the grid. I know he was going to try to do a lap on the mediums anyway, but yeah, very back of the grid. It was very, very strange. But yeah, we're running on board with someone else that's just making their way up towards the line of the other Jordan, ERT Jordan, putting it in 11th, 30.9 on a set of the mediums. You got to think Ty's time on those mediums is actually very nicely done, because if he was to go on the set of softs, apparently the delta between them is about a second. So if he does that, then he'll slot in quite nicely between Oscar and Sprunky. I don't know. We'll see how it's going to plan out for the rest of this qualifying session.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about ERT Jordan. Last week, so he's been nowhere all season. Last week, a mysterious woman named Maddie enters the League of Europe YouTube channel chat, giving him 5 kisses, and all of a sudden, he gets like a top 5 finish. So, we know what his motivations are. ERT Jordan, absolute baller. Yeah, he got a podium. He got 15 points after doing nothing really. As soon as a woman entered the chat, 5 kisses, boom. So let's see if Maddie's going to be here tonight to spur him on. You never know.
Yeah, I was going to say, Maddie, if you're here tonight, you know, show Jordan a little bit of love, and I'm sure he'll produce. Not that kind of produce, but he will produce.
I'm sorry, what? Pause.
Swiftly moving on.
Pause.
Yeah, swiftly moving on. Right on board with MCR. No, he's not actually on a lap, or he's not using his ERS at all. Must have sort of messed up his lap at the beginning, so we've got on board with someone else. Ryan B, not the one in Division 3. I'm a poet and I didn't know it, but the one that's...
Deary mate, I'm out of a job, mate. You can start singing for me if you want. Write some songs.
Right, round on board, of course, with Ryan B on the Williams, getting quite a bit of a nice time actually off of MCR. Hopefully MCR doesn't block him on his lap, because he's no, he doesn't. He's sort of moving out straight out of the way. So nice done for MCR. But yeah, Ryan B, not a bad time so far on his lap. Going to try and maybe contend with the likes of I probably look more towards like Mr. Valter and Aledi, that kind of area. So let's see what he's going to do coming around this final corner. Keeps it nice and wide on the exit as well. DRS now wide open for him. Comes up to the line, and it's in P9, a 29.046. So again, I'm not too sure too much on Ryan B, but I mean, just looking at it, he had a decent start to the season. Then he had 3 DNFs in a row, and then last week it just didn't sort of go his way and ended up finishing 11th.
Oh, Sprunky's improved on his times hard to cut in there. He's almost got into 3rd. He's stayed in 4th, but he's improved on his time. Yeah, with Ryan B, obviously he was. I think he had a different name. He was a Ryan before. It confused the hell out of me, because obviously last year's champion of D4 was called Ryan B. But he's another one of those. There's quite a few in D4. He's another one of those drivers that's quite quick, but just can't seem to stay out of trouble. Which seems to be quite common with a lot of our drivers, and I think that's why people like Mr. Walter and Ariel Jordan, for instance, like they do so well in Division 4, because they stay out of trouble. They may not be as quick, but they stay out of trouble. So it's a little balance between the pace and the racecraft, and I wish I had that a couple of years ago. I could carry that on.
Well, I mean, you're getting there. I will put it out there. You are getting there. So just keeping it up and just making sure that you keep on going with it, and you'll be fine with it. It does take time, but yeah.
Slow but surely, mate. Slowly but surely.
Exactly. You know, slow and steady wins the race. So just keeping that mindset with that. But
Car Mentalist has proven that.
We won't say anymore. We'll keep again. We'll swiftly move it on. We're getting a bit controversial just in the qualifying of the stream. According to ERT Jordan, it was Demi, not Maddie. So Demi, if you're in the chat, make sure you give Mr. ERT Jordan a little bit of love. And again, he will come away with a decent result. I wanted to try and avoid produce, but you know, it's still
no, you should never avoid produce, mate. You should happily produce. As Steve Day puts himself into 8th. Is that right? Yeah. I was just about to start. I think Polypoles might have actually. Polypoles is another driver actually that's been around. I mean, everybody has. It's a very strange division where everyone's been around the front. I think even last week we saw Stormlight fighting for a podium. So nearly everybody at the moment has been in and around. There's not many drivers that we can really say are not fast enough to score a podium, I'd say. I think nearly everybody is capable of a podium in this division.
Yeah. I suppose it's just trying to keep it as consistent as possible. It's still riding on board with Steve Day. He was improving on his time, but coming a little bit wide at the loop. I don't know if he's now going to be a little bit down on his time, but still riding on board with him anyway, because he was up. So we'll stick on board with the Mercedes. At least improving on this time. It won't put him up above Pole to Pose, but it will put him at least a bit closer to the Alfa Romeo. Although saying that, he's a 10th and a half now up, or a 10th and a bit more up on his time. So maybe just a sector 3. And as I say that, he invalidates on his lap. So yeah, very unfortunate, but he's now going to probably just make his way into the pits. And we've only got 5 minutes left of the session already, Jack.
Yeah, very, very easy to invalidate on this track. And I think I do it nearly every single run. I think the exit from I think sector 1, just as you're coming out, I think it's turn 8 that you might be on about, as it comes into the track. For the life of me, I can't do that without heavily slowing down. I'm surprised with our bankers that we've actually not seen anyone in the 26s. Maybe I'm hoping for too much, but I thought we saw those 0.4, 0.3 bankers coming in. I was hoping we might get 1 or 2 26ers in Division 4, which would show us all up.
I mean, to be fair, I would be very surprised if we did, because I think the guys in Division 3, I think the fastest I've seen one of them do, which I think was Passe, was a 26.9. So if we did see a 26 in Division 4, I would be very, very surprised. But I mean, you said before, I think Reservoir was saying to you before, he could get in the 26s. So
a 26.6, not even high, a 26.6. I've not even seen a 26 on this track. I can't do it.
Well, if he can do that, I suppose we've got to wait because he's still in the pit lane at the moment. I'm going to run on board, though, with Jelly, as he's actually 2 tenths up on his time, which was through Sector 2. Through Sector 3 and up to the line, he doesn't end up taking up ahead of Reservoir. A 27.324 is the best is what he's done, and I think that's his qualifying done. I think he went out a little bit too early, and it's, that's his last qualifying lap, so I think second place is the best he's going to get. Unfortunately, not going to beat out Reservoir. We're on board, though, with Mr. Valter, as he's now coming through Sector 1 and goes a tiniest bit wide, and the Dutchman now invalidates on his lap.
Yeah, but poor timing from Gel. I think he might have time to go again, but I doubt it. Most of the people that we expect to be at the front, someone's put out, Patsa Japsa, let's get that right, he's coming around the last corner, yet to set a lap. He's normally at the front. I mean, he's fighting for the championship at the moment. He's going to cross the line a 28.0, puts him in 5th. So Gel, one thing to be happy about, maybe he's half a second up on 3rd place, so we're asking a lot for him to lose that 2nd place.
Yeah, no, that's true, and you said by about 5 tenths of a second up ahead of Oscar as well. Those two at the top just look like they're clear of everybody else in the field already, so be intrigued to see how that's going to play out. Aledi, though, ran on board with him. He's currently up on a lap, almost getting blocked by the Alfa Romeo, but I think, in fact, it just helped him even more, getting a little bit of slipstream. Still riding on board with him, though, making his way through Sector 3 now, keeping as tight to the left as you possibly can, coming out wide for the final corner. See how he's going to fare on. A few guys just making their way across the line. Almost Verstappen's it into the wall. I think he had a slightest touch on the wall, but I think he's still going. And in the P3, a 27.792. Again, still not close enough to those top 2, but jumps up into 3rd place up ahead of Oscar. And Oscar as well did him, I believe, is on his lap now as well, and he's a 10th down from sector 1.
Yeah, and tell you what, compared to what we've seen, I think he'll be happy with that because he's put a lap together, which is very difficult at this track. A 27.7 for Division 4 is a very respectable lap time. I think the front two, like you said, are just in a division of their own. Like they're essentially doing Division 3 times right now. So a 27.7, very respectable time. And Oscar behind is invalidated. Sprunky's going to come through, so he's just got to hope a few more people. As Japs has called it a day, he's not going to be able to get another lap in. So it's going to be crunch time now for these D4 drivers to try boost a few more positions out. I'm wondering, I think Resify's coming back out.
Resify's coming back out. Let's see, whereabouts is he on track? Oh, to be fair, no, I think he will be at a decent point. Or he will definitely be able to get a lap on the board. So I think we've still got about 40 odd seconds left to go. So yeah, Resify going to try and improve on that time. Maybe, he was saying, like you said before, he was able to get in the 26s. Let's see if he is able to push it that much for the 26s. He's got to hope he doesn't get in the way of the Red Bull driver, though. I believe that might be Tyres making his way around the final corner now to finish his lap. There's a little bit of a wing that was just sort of sat in the middle of the track, but he just absolutely flings that one in the air. Tyres coming up towards the line now. Is it an improvement from his 29.0? It is a 28.707 as Tyres, as Resify, comes back into the pits. So he knows, he thinks he's done enough, and well, he says, I'm not going to waste any more tyres. I'm just going to sit in the pits and wait and see what goes on. As said, he's about 5 tenths up ahead of everybody else that has actually set a lap, that are still going for laps. Riding on board with Sprunky, he's just started a lap, but I'm going to ride on board as I think there's been a little bit of an incident in the final corner between, I think that's Pole Pose and Aledi, I believe.
Yeah, Aledi's coming into the pits. I don't see any damage. Polypole's there either. So I have got a bit of intel from Stephen, who's going to explain what happened in the pits. He ran out of fuel, and then his teammate overtook him, so he didn't want to get held up in the box, so he just stopped a bit to give him time to get into the pits, so he didn't get held up, and then ended up getting disqualified for it. So,
oh my goodness.
So to save himself 10 seconds of an animation, he got disqualified. So congratulations, Stephen, on that one.
That's, I'm not gonna lie, one of the silliest reasons that I've ever heard for someone getting disqualified in qualifying. So yeah, very, very, very interesting. But I think that's everyone's laps done. Lix is the only other one. Sprunky has just crashed right next to Lix as well, I believe. His complete front wing got completely taken off, and yeah, Lix has slowed down as well. So that is qualifying all done. Resify, he was right to obviously just come straight back in the pits because he's straight on pole position. Not by much though up ahead of Jelly, but again, those two in a bit of a class of their own. 15 thousandths of a second separating them, and then you've got 4.5 tenths separating him and Aledi as well. So Aledi, again, still a very good time for Division 4 as well, 27.792, like you said, Jack. And then it's relatively close between everybody else throughout that field from there. Sprunky only a couple hundredths off Oscar as well, very close between those two. Patsa 28.0. Again, it's still very close within the field. I'd say from 3rd down to 11th at least. And Ryan B being on, that foremost pole position, he gets at least to start on a set of the medium tyres if he wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not sure how important the alt strat is here, because I seem to remember the softs can go for quite a long time. If I remember from the 24-hour event, I think the pit window, a lot of tracks like we see, there's like a 3 to 4 lap pit window. Here it's quite sparse, where you can kind of pit whenever you want. I think we see the same. It's kind of similar to Portimao, if I'm correct in saying that, where you can kind of, there's a bit more leeway as to when you can pit. So I think I was just seeing there from Resify actually that he went out on the same set of tyres, which is why he went back into the pit. So he's got 10% on his tyres already.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit tricky at the start then. Unless if there's a safety car that comes out, then it might save him, but he might struggle towards the end of his stint. I know the tyres can get pretty overheated around here as well, especially with so many fast corners around the circuit. So it's up to them, of course, just to try and make sure that they've got their pressures right to the point where they don't crash. Of course, it is like at dusk, sort of coming up to night time as well. So at least the track will be a little bit cooler but it won't be enough, I don't think.
No, I think tyre attempts here, they can get quite bad, can't they say, like you were saying there? So you have to lower the pressures down a little bit, which obviously is going to add to the wear, like you said. So a little bit of strategy is going to play into this. It's train central, as we've seen in nearly every single track nowadays on this game. So race management probably going to be more important than pace.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Like I said, it's where the walls are so close as well, with it obviously being the street track. It's going to be difficult to try and keep it out of the walls for the whole 25 laps. I can probably guarantee we'll see a few guys, smacking the wall at least once. As I said, a few of them. So it's just up to obviously whether the top guys, if they can try and keep it clean as possible. I reckon we may see a couple of trains swarm around here between these lot, but again, like you said, the ones that keep it out of the wall, I think, will be the ones that come out on top.
Yeah, and I've just noticed again, and this has been, obviously, you're not a D4 commentator normally, but it's been quite a running joke now for a few weeks. ERT and Ariel Jordan are inseparable. It's very rare that you'll find these two drivers not next to each other on track. It's so strange. But once again, 14th and 15th, right next to each other again.
Very close. The Jordans just seem to be stuck together for some strange reason. Weirdly enough, though, they've gone for a bit of an alternative strategy between the pair of them. So Ariel Jordan, or Relentless Jordan, on the softs, and Elite Racing Team Jordan on the mediums. So we'll see.
Well, that's because Ariel Jordan is surrounded by the smartest mind in the game. He's got relentless drivers in Division 1 teaching him the ways. So, he's got the highest level of expertise that you can possibly get.
And to be honest with you, yeah, like you were saying before, like the alternate strategy, it's not the most powerful around this track. In fact, I think around here it might be one of the weakest for the alternate strategy, mainly because by the time you come in for a set of mediums, the rest of the guys that had already picked from the softs have almost caught up to you anyway. So the mediums around here, you don't particularly want to be starting on them. So, I mean, again, I'll be surprised when we race later on in Division 2 if we see a lot of guys on a set of mediums outside the top 10, but...
I'm going on the hards, mate. Have some respect. It reminds me a bit of Silverstone, where the train's that important. Pitting early, it actually hurts you because you lose the DRS, and the DRS gains you so much time that you just kind of fall out. You actually end up not gaining because you lose so much boost with the DRS.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. So they're all just making their way up towards the grid now. Of course, Stephen and Iconex being the last two, and then we can get this race straight underway. Any sort of prediction just before we start, Jack?
I'm gonna go for. I think Resify will see this one out. I think Wouter will get second. I think he's going to manage the race well. And sorry, Gel, but I think we'll probably see Japsa get third.
Okay, well, for round number 7, we see the 5 red lights. A very long hold between them, but they are out and away the drivers go. Resify getting a very nice start, but Gel getting a much better start in comparison to Resify, keeping it down the inside. A little bit of contact between the pair of them. As you were saying it, Gel already around at the beginning of this race. Oscar moves his way up into second position up ahead of Aledi now. Sprunky trying to go side by side with the Uruguayan, but does not manage to pull that off. Aledi going a bit too deep in towards turn 4 though, and has compromised his line slightly, but Resify, very clean start from him indeed. As I think a little bit more going down the back end of the field. Valter's gone down to P11 and going very wide. A lot of crashes going on towards the back. Joe, once again, Steve Day, ERT Jordan. That was absolute chaos towards the back. Steven's up to 13th, 14th, shall I say. Valter's for some reason just passed MCR and Steven, as I think MCR's trying to let Steven go. So I don't know what's happening between them, but... yeah,
that was chaotic at the back. I was on board with Aledi at the start of the race. I'm not sure if he got hit in the back. I can't say that, but he did not brake in time from the view that I was on and just went straight into the back of Gel. Sprunky, coming out of turn 8, he just completely wide the corner, didn't even try and make the track, and just overtook Aledi off the track. So I'm surprised that that's counted. there's got to be a warning. I'm surprised he was allowed to have that overtake, to be fair. So, but Sprunky, I was about to point out, and now the safety car's come out. It could explain it. He's underfueled for the race.
Oh, as you see, Patser Japs are coming into the pits, so maybe he's going on a set of the mediums. They can get to the
Slap
end of
the
the race.
hards on, mate. You've got to slap the hards on for the boys.
Oh no, he's jumped on a set of the mediums. There's someone else coming in as well. In fact, a lot of guys coming in the pits already this early on. Ryan B, iConnect, Storm, Jordan, Valter. Valter's, I think, getting a wing change. So yeah, he obviously got that wing damage. Tyres, unfortunately, is going to have to wait for him to come in. Steve Day's going to have to wait behind him as well until he gets going. So it's a massive effect going on in the pit lane. Ryan B has come out on the hard tyres. So he's going to the end of this race.
Guy.
He's going to the end.
The thing is, we were saying this, weren't we, before the stream, of how we just think this track's going to be mayhem for most divisions because it's new, how tight it is. These soft runners at the front, it's not over by a long shot, because we were saying before that by the time they pit, they've already caught up. But their job has just become an awful lot more harder than they thought it would be, because these guys at the back, you'll assume, apart from Steve Day and Tidge, are probably going to the end.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
So they've got to find a pit stop, which is not easy to do.
Especially around this track, like 25 laps around here. I know it's like over a minute, or just under a minute and a half around this track. In race pace, it probably is about a minute and a half, minute 31. But even then, trying to get a few seconds gap each lap to the point where they then have to pit, it's not an easy job. I think, granted, the pit lane around here is a reasonably small pit lane, I would say, but yeah, it's not an easy job whatsoever. So I think Patser and Ryan B, I think they're the ones that we need to keep our eye out on for the rest of this race. I think they've got that potential to get to, well, to be on the podium at least for this race. But Rezify, again, he had an absolute cracking start. He just needs to try and, well, have a very good start once again under the on the restart off the safety car. Everyone pretty much has caught up, but we have to go for one more lap anyway. So yeah, Steve Day and Tyres, though, I'm really surprised that they've gone for the set of softs at the back of the grid as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Connects as well. That he's also still underfueled. Sprunky's managed to, the yellow symbol's no longer on. Connects is still on yellow. So the only thing I can assume with these guys at the front that haven't pitted is they're probably banking on another safety car, law of averages. They're probably hoping there's going to be another one, because even if they make a bit of a gap, they're not going to come out ahead of people. Like, you're not finding that much time. So once you catch the group, you've then got to make your way through the group, which on this track is not easy whatsoever. So we could be in for a really spicy end of the race, and I'm almost hoping for no more safety cars just to see how spicy it can get.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So we'll keep our eye out on that. Obviously, the guys that are on the softs, they're now going to be a bit more under pressure, or the guys that stayed out on the softs, shall I say, are going to be a lot more under pressure. But I suppose Rezify, Oscar, Sprunky, I guess those guys would be ones that would be able to do it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see towards the end of the race. Again, if this is another safety car, though, then it does help them out massively. But at the same time, with this safety car now, it's not really helping them at this present moment. Like I said, the guys that are behind, they all don't need to make a pit stop. If they can stay within a pit window of at least of the safety car, then they'll be laughing. They'll be up ahead, and they won't have to worry about anything later on in the race.
Yeah, it's not looking like a good day for the Mercedes drivers right now. You've got Steve Day at the back on the mediums. Lix is almost the last of those soft runners. I guess you could say Gel is in between him and MCR. So Mercedes are going to have to pull something out the bag to make this into a good weekend.
Yeah, they certainly will. I'm surprised you haven't seen it say safety car is in this lap yet, though. That's quite surprising to me, as now we see it very, very late.
That's a late goal.
Yeah, very, very late on. I think Oscar almost went into the back of Rezify as well, but Rezify going to be taking us through this restart. So we'll see how he's going to fare on. You can just see him sort of swerving at the top right there. As
I'm going to get a Nathan restart here.
I think we are. It's going to be very close. He's gone very early. Been caught off guard. Has Oscar. Sprunky now trying to go down the around the outside, but all coming maybe down the inside in towards turn 1. He's gone for it. He sent it. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, and Oscar holds on that position. Sprunky trying to go for a switchback though. A bit of contact between the pair of them at the back of the grid as well. Lick's going down now. Sprunky and Oscar side by side. Sprunky overtakes off track. Oscar has to yield that one up, and Sprunky, it was off the track, so he might be told to give that one back on the game. But already 1.4 seconds now. Rezify up in the lead of the race. Oscar and Sprunky putting on an absolute show through turns 2 and 3, through the whole of the first sector. I'm surprised it hasn't said that Sprunky has to give that place back though. That was completely off the track as Oscar has actually gone round, so now that doesn't really matter. I don't think Oscar picked up any damage, he just sort of touched too much of that inside curb. But now the gaps at the top, Rezify 1.6, Sprunky 1.7 to him, and Aledi 1.5 between him and Sprunky as well. Been caught absolutely napping between the rest of them.
Yeah, and that's the second time this race already. Sprunky's overtook someone off the track and got away with it. So this guy knows some cheat codes that we don't know. A couple of very audacious moves. A perfect start for Rezify. He's got DRS gap. He'll be happy to keep this now and hope he can just maintain the lead. Awful start, like we were saying, for the Mercedes. The Licks, the back softener, has dropped to the back. I'm not sure what's happened there. Ryan B as well, kind of tumbling down as he's hit the wall. I'm not sure if he's picked up damage there, but yeah, he has. He's going into the pits on those hards, so that's not worked out for him. And 5 laps in, a 5th into the race, a race that normally goes by very quickly. Absolute carnage.
It certainly has been. Let's just riding off board with Gel and Patsa Japsa as they've just passed MCR now for that P5 and P6 position. The Spaniard not having a very good start. Well, to be fair, already up into 7th on the mediums, and I think he started on these mediums, if I'm not mistaken. So if he started on these, then he's not in a bad position. Just the safety car really has not helped him, as Pole Pose and Gel switching positions. I think just sort of letting his teammate go to try and chase down Aledi. But yeah, not having exactly had the best of starts. Has the Spaniard. Very unfortunate for him as Oscar picks himself up the first 3-second time penalty. Was running in 3rd position, now down in last. And with the first penalty as Tyres and Jordan changing positions as well. Aledi, I think, must have made some sort of mistake because he's now very much under pressure from Gel, as Gel just absolutely flying through this field on the Jap.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of Aledi being slow. I'm on board with Gel. He's just really fast. He's taking his corners with so much confidence. He's using a lot of ERS to get this done. I think he needs to remember there's a DRS zone in a moment. He can just use that, but he's trying to get it done now. Has he got DRS?
No,
it's enabled now.
So. Yeah, Gel, fast lap of the race, 31.5. He's got Aledi still sticking to the back of him, and yeah, Gel, again, he's just absolutely flying through this field.
He's flying, but he did just use about 60% of ERS on that lap, so he's very low down. Maybe it was worth it to him to get in front of Aledi, who seems to be struggling quite a lot, especially in Sector 1. He's losing a lot of time as Kinex gets past MCR. MCR's going quite slow there. He's had to slam on the brakes. A lot of people struggling with this track. First sector especially, we've seen a lot of people, once you go offline once, you're offline for the whole sector pretty much.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I think MCR he's got to have some sort of damage. There's no way that he's doing what he's doing at the moment, because he's just sort of, he's basically not taking any line whatsoever through there. So, yeah, he's had to let Jordan go. He's now side by side with Mr. Valter, but I think Valter's just been able to get past and up now into P10 and P11, go Ariel Jordan and Mr. Valter. And then you've got the ERT Jordan just behind them as well. MCR probably going to try and do his best to hold him up, but I don't know if he's going to be able to as much as possible. Stephen getting past Ryan B down in P15 as well, but as I said, DRS is now going to be enabled, and we have got one good I've got one big train from Storm all the way down to Steve Day from 9th to 14th. Up a little bit in front though, Polder Pose all over the back of Aledi. He's probably going to look to try and get this move done out of the final corner and in towards turn 1, because he will have the DRS and Aledi doesn't. Gel's still pushing that as much as he can, but here we go. Here goes Polder Pose going down the inside of Aledi. before turn 1 even reaches there, he's already a car length ahead. So yeah, Pole Pose now up into 4th. Alfa Romeo's looking pretty sweet in this race so far.
Yeah, they're looking very, very strong, and that's probably great news for Gel as well, because he'll be happy to see his teammate kind of form that gap between him and Aledi. Aledi really, really struggling at the moment. Maybe, I mean, we see some people just like the mediums more, and that's the case on this track. I've heard it from quite a few people that the softs are faster, but the mediums feel so much nicer. So maybe that's the case. I think Aledi will be hoping that is the case. Japsa, 6th place. He's already pitted. He's on those medium tyres. It's looking very good for him at the moment.
Yeah, he's keeping with that train at the front, and that's all he needs to do. Just stick with the train. Doesn't need to worry about doing anything, and he'll be perfectly fine. A little bit a little bit further behind, shall I say? MCR now dropped out of 1.7 seconds behind his teammate and Mr. Vouter. And saying that, Mr. Vouter, I think thought was maybe going to try and eye up a move on the Relentless Driver, but I think he just has to stay behind him for now.
Jacob got to go to the front, sorry for a moment. It could be a fight for the lead. I think Rezify's made a mistake because Sprunky is within a 10th and he's going to go for the move before the last corner. I'm not sure how wise that might have been. Has he kept DRS?
No,
he hasn't. But Rezify's quite far behind, to be fair. He's going to get the run though, and yeah, I'm quite surprised Sprunky went for the move then and just wait for the straight.
Spunky's trying to hold it down the inside though. He dives it a bit later than what Rezify does. And very nice defense from Sprunky to keep that position for first as well, up ahead of Rezify. But you got to remember, Sprunky has got a penalty. So whilst he is managing to defend from him, it's going to hurt his time to Gel, because now Gel's within the 3 seconds. Pole Pose, it's only a matter of time, before he catches up into the 3 seconds of Sprunky as well, with all of this battling going on. But at the same time, Sprunky's doing quite a nice job at the moment, just keeping Rezify behind him. Just the DRS zones, I think, is what's going to sort of throw him down.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not I'm not the strategy master. I've made some shocking calls in my time, but I'm thinking Gel's going to be loving this. Is it within Rezify's interest to maybe think about pitting? He's got a bit of a roadblock ahead of him. Getting those mediums now and go to the end, because everyone else is going to the end anyway.
Might be his best interest. We'll wait and see. I think usually around this sort of time is when we would see some pit stops go down, so we might see a few of the front guys make their way into the pits this lap. Might be next lap. We'll wait and see. I know the game usually says on lap 10, so it might be some people maybe just be following that, but we're going to go
he's going for the move on, Sprunky.
Here we go. Rezify down the inside. Quite easily done, but at the same time, like you said before, Sprunky's now going to get the DRS back on Rezify. Are we going to see one of these two maybe make their way into the pits? I thought we were, but no, Sprunky was just going down the inside and gets the move done. Gel, he's now going to be closing up to the back of these guys, and he's going to be able to at least build some ERS back up as well.
Aledi's in.
Okay, so Aledi being the first one out of the front runners to come into the pits.
Yeah, well, we'll see now if what we were saying earlier is true. He seemed to really struggle on those softs. Maybe he's not done his tyre temps right, I'm not sure, but these mediums, if he hasn't, should probably be able to counter that a bit more. And we'll keep a track on Aledi now. We know he was about 4.5 seconds off the front, 5 seconds, so we can kind of see whereabouts the front runners will come out based off how Aledi does in this group.
The only problem for Aledi though is that I know he's 7 seconds off of the back of them, but that's going to be very quick to catch up to the guys that are up in front of him, especially being on a fresher set of tyres. So Aledi, he's going to have his work cut out for him. He needs to try and get a very good outlap to try and maybe get close to the back of the rest of the guys at the front. But at the same time, when they pit, they're going to be behind a heap of medium runners that are trying to go to the end on these tyres that they pit on lap 2. So I think it's going to be a bit of a tall order, but I think the soft runners, I think their best bet at this moment is to actually stay out. Maybe just to stay out. Try and get more of a gap on those medium runners and try and at least get a jump on them, as Stephen picks up a 3-second tyre penalty. Tyres going around the outside just before the final corner on Patsa. And I think the good thing for Tyres is as well, with that DRS, it helped him get back in DRS of Pole Pose as well. So yeah, Tyres gets the DRS, Rezify comes into the pits. Patsa also coming into the pits.
Maybe he has damage, I'm not sure.
I'm going to stick on board with him actually, yeah, because there's got to be some sort of damage he's had, surely. Yeah.
He has, yeah, he's getting a wing change. Which is a shame, because he looked like he was... Oh! This completely changes the fight then. This is all of a sudden opening it up for Gel. And Walter, see, how's Walter found himself in this position?
Just by keeping it
That's
clean.
what I mean. How does he do this?
Yeah, just by keeping it clean.
It's the
Walter is now on, technically our net race leader.
It's Noof all over again. He just finds himself at the front. As Rezify now picks up a penalty, and you've got a sense frustration might be starting to come into effect. And it's gone downhill within a lap for the two people that we thought would be fighting in the last few laps for the win.
Yeah, no, it certainly has. Rectify impacts of the two IRT boys not having a very good race. Tyres all over the back of Pole to Post now, coming through, coming up to the beginning of Sector 3. Just going to stick on board with the Dutchman. As you can see, DRS is now going to be open for him, using a bit of DRS to go for the overtake. Straight around the outside. Not much that Pole to Post can do. I think there was a little bit of contact with Pole to Post. I just don't think he was expecting Tyres to be that close to him. But yeah, Pole to Post, unfortunately for him, loses out of that position. However, he will get the DRS back on Tyres as Gel comes into the pits now to counteract it. Pole to Post follows. I don't know why he's done that, because now it's going to be a bit of a double stack.
What's he done? But maybe this time, I know they fixed it, didn't they? But nah, it's... Oh!
Has it worked? Oh, it has!
He's not lost too much. I mean, he will have lost a little bit there, but that patch really has made a difference, hasn't it? Because before that patch...
Oh, Joe! This race is completely kicked off. This race is completely kicked off. Joe came out of the pits, nice and comfortable up ahead of Aledi and Rezify. And he, at turn 2, just spins it on the outside curb. And that's now him out of the race.
I feel so bad for the guy. Every single week, he's in the position to get a podium minimum. And still, after 7 races, he finds himself on 0 points. I don't know how it's possible. I think he must have just been struggling with tyre temperatures. Kind of, maybe they can throw you off guard. You're gonna have cold tyres when you first come out. You can't push as hard as you normally would. Maybe he was trying. He saw the two drivers behind him. He thought, I need to push to keep a gap. I don't know, but he seemed to be in a comfortable position from our point of view. And that safety car now, I know he's got a penalty, but it's going to do wonders for Sprunky and Tidge.
Well, the thing is for Sprunky as well, I think when he comes out, he'll be within that battle with Wouter, Storm and Connects as well. So, yeah, Sprunky, I think is in a very prime position. If he can get the 3-second gap as well to Wouter, I think he's in a prime position to potentially take the win for tonight. We'll wait and see though where he ends up coming out. You can see Wouter is just coming down the start-finish straight. He's in fact coming in himself. So Sprunky will stay in the race lead from
everyone's coming in.
Okay, so yeah, everyone coming in. They've all probably been going to the mediums. Oh, saying that. Never mind.
Oh, when he's staying out. Valid cause for this. Interesting. I mean, the only reason I don't understand that is because Wouter's the one sitting on no penalty. So he has the. I mean, hey, if they think they'll last. I mean, they will last. I don't know how good they'll be by the end, but Aledi stayed out. Obviously, we saw him. He only pitted 2 laps ago. He's in 3rd. Sprunky, we're not sure where he stands at the moment. We saw. I think we both pointed out. There's 2 overtakes that might get questioned, but for now they won't be. We can't really speak until the stewards report comes out. So at the moment, Tidge is first. He's net first right now.
And he started down in 12th position. 12th position.
And he had a horrible start, didn't he? I think he got double stacked, did he not?
Yeah. So...
What has happened this race? We're not even halfway through yet.
Yeah, not even halfway through, and there's still another half of this to go. So, this is absolute insanity. I'm not gonna lie, absolute insanity of a race. Sprunky is the one that's in the lead. The only ones that are going to be able to stop him are Tyres and Aledi. I think Polar Pose, I mean, he can do, but from what I've seen, it looks like the top 3 are the ones that are looking just a little bit more quicker, especially Aledi and Sprunky are looking just that bit more quicker. Sprunky needs to have a good restart, a good gap at least to everybody else. Of course, there's still going to be one more lap off the safety car because we're only on the first lap of it, so... Yeah, Sprunky in the lead of this race. Tyres in 2nd. He's done 2 stops as Tyres. That was his 2nd stop that he's just made, and he's in 2nd position.
I the predictions at the start of this race were completely useless because I have no idea what's going on at the moment. The only thing that I do know is ART Jordan's on the hards, and I'm not too certain that was the best decision to make.
No, it definitely wasn't. But I think he didn't pit, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he did pit on his original one, so he's gone on a set of the hards. Because I think he's only done the one. Let me have a look. I think he has only done the one stop of a medium to hard. Oh no, he's done two.
No, he's done two. He's just decided to put the hards on.
Why has he done that then?
If Demi was here, he'd have been on the softs. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe. There definitely would have been something that was soft and something that was hard. But anyway, we carry on.
Producing, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, so everyone's now sort of caught up to the safety car. A lot of guys still with their penalties as well. You know, Sprunky, Storm, Patsa, Connects, Resify, Stephen, Oscar, all with penalties to their name. And the only one
I tell you what,
five is Sprunky.
We're looking at this front group. So obviously we've got Mr. Wurter behind them all. He's on the softs, so he's one to look out for. He's got no penalty either. I'm looking at this front group. We're talking about Tidge being from the back. Now he's in second. He's the only driver out of those front three that's not, to our knowledge, been involved in anything that could be decided by the stewards. So he's looking very comfortable just to chill at the moment.
Yeah, no, he certainly is. I mean, yeah, like you said, he's just got to chill behind Sprunky. He's just got to hope that Aleti doesn't go for anything on him, which then means that the tyres will have to force a move on Sprunky. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see how that's going to go. Obviously, Polder Post as well, he's going to want to try and make some sort of moves through this grid as well. I don't understand why it's not so safety cars in this lap as of yet, considering everyone is still on the back of them. I don't know if there's just a few guys that have sort of edged off, but there we go. So,
there we go. So,
in this lap.
Note to ourselves in Division 2, the safety car will say in this lap, right before the start of the lap. So, we can remember that.
Yeah, we certainly
Let's hope this restart's a bit calmer than the last one.
We'll wait and see, I suppose. Sprunky's going to be taking us through it, keeping us nice and sort of... taking it a little bit quicker than normal, but Sprunky, let's have a look. He goes now. Tyres has read that very nicely as well. Sprunky's still going to try and break a bit of the toe, go towards the inside to then come back towards the racing line. Tyres was not kept napping. However, a little bit further behind, Pat's Jasper into Steve Day. In towards turn one, Pat's had the inside for turn number 2. And into the wall he goes, and out goes Pat's.
What is happening? What is happening?
It's just too much oversteer for the Ferrari, and out of the race he goes. One of the championship contenders now out of the race. That gives absolute leeway to Resify and to Valter.
What is going on? And I think Jordan might have picked up damage back. Ariel Jordan, sorry, because he's just let about 4 people go past. It once again, chaos. What I'm noticing here is on the restart says Ryan B's around, and he's gone to the back of the field now. What I've noticed from the restart, everyone just seems to want to send it turn 1 and 2.
I don't understand why.
I'm so confused. And Mr. Welton out takes 2 weeks off. Championship contenders are all in the mud at the moment. It looks like he could just walk straight back into the championship lead.
They certainly could. However, Resify just got a move done on Steve Day for P7, so the AlphaTauri still is charging his way through the field despite having that penalty. Valter now being held up by Polder Post. He needs to get this move done. In fact, Polder Post has just let him go.
You naughty, teasing me.
It's an interesting strategy.
I think he wanted DRS, but he's just realised it's not activated yet.
Yeah, that's completely thrown me off as well. iConnect's going down the inside of Steve Day in towards turn number 1. Still, will have the outside for turn 2, so he'll get the better traction coming out of the corner. It's a very nice move from the IRT driver. Both of the IRT boys now 7th and 8th in the AlphaTauri, and now all over the back of Storm and Polder Post and Mr. Valter as well. So Mr. Valter needs to try and do his best as R&B retires in the pit lane, our 3rd retiree. To be honest with you, it's a lot less than what I was expecting. I'm not going to lie.
It's a lot less than what I was expecting, but it's the similar names that are doing it. Minus Japser, Ryan B and Gel, 2 drivers like we said before. Very, very promising. Just can't seem to get it done in the race. I do want to say, I were laughing at ERT Jordan for the hards. I honestly think if he avoids a penalty and just sits here, one more safety car and he's going to gain a ton of positions just on penalties alone.
Storm going a little bit wide, coming through the fast S section. Resify straight down the inside of Storm, and Jordan, like you was just saying.
Never mind.
What is
Never
happening
mind.
with them.
Never mind. Never
He's collided
mind.
with Oscar, and it's another safety car.
Well, boys, we've got 13. One person at the moment is not getting a point in this race. And now what do you do? Because I don't really think anyone needs to pit, do they? I don't see the benefit in it. Maybe the guys at the back go on the softs. May as well.
I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Oh, this is great for Jordan, because I think Jordan got caught up in an incident, so maybe he can change a wing or something. Both of the McLarens are in, so that tells me they're both going to be slapping on the softs. All these drivers from 7th down have gone onto the softs. This is going to be crazy now, though.
Certainly is. Jordan. No, he didn't get a
And
wing
Resify's
change.
on the softs. You know what? I think Jordan's honestly thought, I'm just staying out of everything, going at the back, and I'm going to gain positions off people crashing. And it's working. Resify's pitted again, so he's going to be very fast on those softs, but he has got a penalty down in 8th. Mr. Woods is on the softs in P3.
I think we're looking at a Red Bull 1-2 here, you know.
I feel like it's really pointless for us to try and predict what's going to happen, because every time everything looks set in stone, a safety car comes out.
Oh my goodness. So Sprunky's going to take us through yet another restart. I know you were saying about Resify and Steve Day coming in. Aledi also came in and is on the set of the softs as well. So he's going to have at least a bit more of an advantage up ahead of Resify. At least a 3-second buffer if he doesn't get a penalty from Resify behind him. So he just needs to try and keep with him. Though you could say from the start of that race, Resify just absolutely blitzed the field and got almost within 3 seconds out of Aledi. Just within 3 laps alone. I think that's somehow the start of this race was where we've seen the most amount of action.
I'm sorry to go off topic there. Me and you were saying before this race started, okay, that we think Jeddah's just going to be chaos in all the divisions because it's a new track, it's a tight track. The racing doesn't seem to be great here from what I've seen. We have 13 drivers with 16 laps. Division 3 has 13 drivers after 17 laps.
Oh, wow.
At least it's not just us. Just to put it into context for you people, the race should be over by now. It's a very, very quick Grand Prix. Jeddah goes by very, very fast. What's Division 1 looking like? Division 1... Oh, they're on lap 20. They've only had one DNF, so that shows why they're in Division 1 and we're a bit lower down, to be fair.
Yeah.
A lot of penalties though, so it's just been. I'm not sure Jeddah is going to be a League of Europe favourite going forward.
It definitely does not look like it, but yeah, that's 17 of 25, and I'm just keeping an eye, or a second eye on the Division 3 race as well. It's looking interesting. That's all I can really sort of put it. It's looking very, very interesting.
I mean, for us, P3, Mr. Wouter, Division 1, P3, Ariel Wouter. I'm just putting it out there. Conspiracies and all that.
The Dutchies take over from the scenes of things.
What? I don't know what to say. I feel like we can't predict anything. Like, right now, Ariel Jordan could win this race for all I know.
There is still that chance. Without a doubt, there is still that chance because the people in front having penalties as well. Out of 18 drivers, we've only got 13 left in Division 4. So that's 17 of 25. And again, there could still be another safety. There could still be 2 more safety cars that come out. We've had 3 safety cars out of 5 so far.
Yeah, this is going to be a race to forget, I think, for the boys. Stephen, though. Oh, we saw him get disqualified in qualifying. He's in P11 right now, so he's making the most out of people's mistakes.
No problem for him now, he's got a penalty.
At the moment, one person is missing out on points. So it's going to be a little scrap. Sprunky's still in the lead. He's got that penalty still. We know he's got the least amount of fuel than people because he was under fueling at the start of the race. So let's see how this restart goes and see if we still have 13 drivers at the end of this lap.
What I'm intrigued to see is if Tyres is actually going to read when he's going to go. So he's trying to line up alongside him. Sprunky's actually gone early, and he's read him like an absolute book. Tyres now trying to go for this move on Sprunky in towards turn 1. Sprunky's going to go a bit defensive, cuts back onto the racing line. Sprunky does go deep though in turn 1, through turn 2. Tyres going to try and go for a bit of a switchback on Sprunky. They're both side by side coming up towards turn 4.
Back out of it.
Try and get brave.
Thank you.
No, he does not. Thank God for that one. But Mr. Valter now has the opportunity to go for this move on his teammate. He's going to have the much better line coming through this Titan Twisty section on sector 1. But I think just has to back out. Does the Dutchman. It goes very wide coming out of there though. Going to cost him a little bit of time to his teammate. But at this restart now, it's looking a lot cleaner from what we've seen. Resify though all over the back of Aledi, but also getting pressured by Licks down in P8.
Yeah, and moral dilemma. I'm going to ask you this question. You seem like a nice guy. I'd like to hope.
Okay.
Tidge is he's picked up a penalty as well. He is a reserve. This is his first race. His teammate is in a championship fight. Do you let him go past, or is it too early in the season to do that?
He's a reserve. I don't think you do. If he's a reserve, you don't really. If you're actual teammates, I would have thought you'd have to, but if he's a reserve, there's no way. I would be shocked if Tyres does let him go. He's going to have to fight tooth and nail with him. Aledi going down the inside of Storm in towards the final corner. He is derating though. He's used a lot of his ERS in this lap alone, so he's going to be put under pressure from Storm and from Resify. Coming up in towards turn 1, you can see the speed loss that he's got because of the derating of the ERS. Three wide! Coming up in towards turn 1, Storms has to back out of that one. Resify going to go around the outside of Aledi. Turn 1 into turn 2, down the inside. Beautiful move from Resify. I think that I haven't seen much of Division 4, but that 100% has got to be one of the moves of the season.
Yeah, double overtake aided by I'd say the experience of Storm from backing out of that. A lot of drivers we've seen wouldn't have done, so fair play to him for that. But to have the guts to go for that straight down the middle, he might get pody poles as well going into this left-hander now. He's looking at it, but I don't think he's. Oh, dearie me. He's definitely looking at it, and he's going to. Oh my! that's twice now.
A bit too ambitious at this point, I think, is Resify, but he's got to do the most he can on these tyres.
Yeah, I think he's looking at Mr. Walton P2, thinking I can't let him get away. He's got a penalty as well, but he's still got to be careful. You still got to consider other people's race, but let's not take away from that move. Incredible move to get 2 positions.
And here comes the third one, around the outside of Podopose now, coming up towards the final corner. I don't think Podopose is going to be able to fight that too much. Aledi's also going to follow suit as well. In towards the final corner, Podopose does sort of shove him out almost, and Aledi has to back out of that one. He's going to have a bit of a better exit though, coming out of this final corner. And again, not being able to use any ERS Resify as well. But Podopose backs off from that one. A little bit further down though, Steven Storm once again Licks as well. Steven down the inside of Licks and Storm. Steven now doing a double overtake. There's so many double overtakes going on.
And Storm's going to get past Licks as well.
Oh, this is just insane towards the end of this race.
But this is more what we wanted to see. This is, for the most part, we're seeing these moves. They're very fun battles, but they're also very clean battles, which is very good to see. A lot more people backing out. Maybe less cars on the grid is helping out a bit more, but we're getting a great end to this race at the moment.
We certainly are. Steven now has got to try and get the move done on Podopose. You can see how Resify was getting annoyed before. Now he's got now Steven's turn to try and make the move on the Alfa Romeo driver. Let's see how he's going to fare on to do this one, coming through this sector 2 sweeping section as well. Podopose getting very close to the wall. Almost I thought he was going to hit that in the end, but look at the Ferrari. Look at the speed the Ferrari's got in comparison to the Alfa Romeo. Around the outside to have the inside for this corner as well. Podopose has to give that one up. Steven now up into 6th. Resify has got the move done on Tyres as well. And Aledi goes into the back of Tyres as well. I think Tyres must have made some sort of mistake. They're both going to have DRS on Resify, sort of swerving left and right everywhere. Tyres He's going to go for the move on Rezify before the final corner. Aledi's going to maybe try and follow Rezify. Rezify's going to have not going to have any DRS, and Ties and Aledi are going to have DRS. So again, I think, Jack, we're going to see another free wide moment come up here. No. Here we go. Aledi busts up the race, almost hitting the back of Rezify. I don't know, did he hit the back of him?
He just kind of drove into the back of him. Like, he had plenty of time to know what was going to happen there, and he just didn't move. I'm confused, but either way, Tidgen in third, Rezify's in fourth, Aledi in fifth. This is absolute chaos. Aledi very nearly loses a wing there. And I think people start to get a little bit impatient. These medium runners are really starting to cause a little bit of mayhem, as they're quite clearly not having the pace as these softs.
Certainly not. Rezify straight down the inside of Ties, now coming through the loop section, and you can see how much this gap has dropped. Sprunky now could be on still for keeping on that podium. If it looks like he will get the podium anyway, but Aledi, look how close he is to the back of Ties, and in fact, going to go for this move on Ties after this, after the middle chicane. Down the inside he goes. The Red Bull driver, unfortunately, not going to be able to do anything. Rezify is now derating, so Aledi's going to have a little bit more of an opportunity to keep within the 1 second, keep within the DRS. As Steven now once again trying to go for this move on pole to pose. I think got passed once again, but now he's got the DRS on the Alfa Romeo, gets the move done nice and easily, as Mr. Valter now goes into the lead of this race, and that, I believe, is pretty much going to cement him, unless he makes some sort of mistake. I think that's cementing him taking this win for tonight.
Yeah, and it's this last 7 laps or so have been absolutely incredible. We've got someone in the pits. That is Tidge, so assuming he has damage. Steve Day's got past his teammate Licks going down the straight. I think the last safety car really damaged the medium runners that didn't pit, because we're seeing the softs just absolutely hound them now.
Yeah, those medium runners I think are massively under pressure now. I think now Sprunky, Aledi's been sort of let clear. He's now going to be dropping back behind Valter and by Aledi. Luckily for him, Rezify and Steven both have got penalties as well, so they're not going to be at least Sprunky will be finishing up ahead of the pair of them. Pole Pose is the other one that they could still jump up ahead from Sprunky, but I think he's a little bit too far back. Yeah, 5.1 seconds behind the front of the grid. So yeah, I think Pole Pose, he needs to get a little bit of a move on if he can, and try and stay with those soft runners. If he can do that, then he's still on for a shot off the podium, but I think it might be a little bit too much for Pole Pose to try and get into that podium now, as Licks picks up a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, I think it's just starting to settle down a little bit. Not too much. We are seeing a few little scraps still, but everyone's kind of setting into place now. I think they're realising with the penalties as well, you can kind of predict where you're going to finish at this point. But those are dangerous words in Division 4, as we know. Anything can happen. Also like to apologise to all the viewers offended by J. Cole pronouncing Sprunky's name very wrong sometimes and missing the R. It's not what he intended. As Rezify is now going to make the move on Aledi, easy as you like, around the outside. Job done before turn 1.
Yeah, nicely done for Rezify. Very easily, straight down around the outside, like you said. Up into 3rd position now, but again, with that penalty, it's going to cost him that place on the podium. However, you saw what Rezify's pace was like before. He just needs to get a bit of a hounding on, and in fact, Sprunky might actually still stay up ahead of Aledi. I'm trying to now pronounce the R properly, so then you can hear it properly. But yeah,
the YouTube algorithm is not your friend right now.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. But Aledi already dropping out of DRS from Rezify, so Rezify is on an absolute charge, and with all of that happening, that's now allowing Sprunky to get out of that 3-second window from Aledi. So Sprunky is now a net 2nd position, and Aledi now going to be dropping down into at least a net 3rd position, and could potentially, well, Steven's looking pretty quickly as well. With DRS, anything can still happen.
Yeah, we saw this before, didn't we? As the soft started to wear, Aledi really struggled. I'm wondering if it's something to do with tyre temps, because especially Sector 1, like, he's really struggled to keep it on the racing line, as Steven's now going to look at the move. I mean, he's going to get it done beforehand, but we've seen this exchange of positions happen so many times now where just... Oh, and Steven tank slapper there almost puts it in the wall.
Yeah, luckily kept it out of there as well. Valter and Sprunky both going at it as well. into the penultimate lap of this race. It's already been 24 out of 25 laps, Jack, and it's felt like it's flown by very quickly, but at the same time very slowly with all the safety cars that we've had. But Valtteri doing a very good job. As I said, he just needs to keep it clean as possible through these last 2 laps. As what you're seeing.
12th and 13th scrapping for that final point. They were banging wheels going down the straight. We've got Tidge, who, don't forget, only about 10 laps ago we thought was going to win the race. So we've got Tidge at the moment fighting Connects. I think they've both got a penalty each, if I'm right in saying that. Penalties? No, Tidge has 6 seconds of pens. So for the final points position, it's between these two.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. As Sprunky, in fact, he's getting a bit of a move on because he's now dropped Mr. Valtteri out of DRS. So I wonder if Valtteri's tyres are starting to go off. Reservoir, by the way, look how close he is now to the back of Valtteri. He is derating, but he's pushed this to the limit and he's now all over the back of the Dutchman. The Dutchman hasn't got any DRS either. So Reservoir, he's going to try and maybe go for this move on Mr. Valtteri before the final corner. Down the inside he goes, and now up into second position. Valtteri's of course going to have the DRS once again. But has Reservoir pushed that enough to get DRS off as the back of Sprunky? No, he has not. So Mr. Valtteri will have the DRS on
he's not got a great run though.
Yeah.
Is he going to reach Reservoir in time? He's not.
I don't think he will.
And Reservoir, as we know, with his penalty, he can't go on and win this race, and he'll probably fall behind Valtteri, but in the championship race, it is within Reservoir's interest to keep Valtteri out of Sprunky's penalty range and stop him from getting the full 25 points. If he can hold Valtteri to a second place, that helps him massively in the title fight.
Well, final lap now of this race, 1.8 seconds. As Reservoir picks up another 3 seconds. So that's now basically dropped him out from Valtteri and from Aledi, despite getting that gap almost to Aledi as well. And could potentially lose out to pole pose. I think he is going to be losing out to pole pose at this race. So, yeah, Reservoir, very unfortunate for him. He's now dropping out. In fact, let me have a quick look at the gap between them all. As Stephen did also pick up another 3-second time penalty. At this moment, though, it's looking like Mr. Valtteri is going to take this win. It's now 2.2 seconds, however, as Stephen, another 3-second time penalty in P4. He's now up to 12 seconds of penalties. But Mr. Valtteri is almost losing out this gap to Sprunky. Sprunky needs to do just that little bit more, as much as he can, to get this gap from Mr. Valtteri. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, considering that we're now only on the final straight. It's been a very good effort from Sprunky, and he's done very well to keep up in the lead of this race, despite having those 2 safety car restarts. But the Aston Martin driver, again, I think he's a reserve driver as well, if I'm not mistaken. He's had a very good result, to say the least. He'll come across the line to take it on track. But Mr. Valtteri, on his return, will take the win in the end. Sprunky does finish second. Aledi, by 7/10 of a second, does drop back behind Sprunky. So Sprunky does end up finishing second. Aledi in third. Reservoir in fourth. Pole to pose, just about finishing behind Reservoir. So Reservoir does still manage to pick up 12 points in the end. Pole to pose in fifth with 10 points now. 10th of a second behind the championship leader as well. Very, very close to say the least. But I think that championship lead now, if I'm not mistaken, is about a 2-point gap between Valtteri and Reservoir.
Yeah. And you've got to think with Reservoir there, and that last lap, obviously before he picked up that second penalty, he had the opportunity to go a little bit slower, especially in Sector 1, go a bit slower, whole time up with Valtteri. He'd have probably cost Valtteri first place there. Valtteri would have ended up getting second because of the penalties. So, yeah, I think Reservoir missed out on an opportunity there to possibly stop the gap closing down as much.
Yeah, no, he certainly did. So, yeah, Valtteri does pick up the win, the full 25 points for himself in the end. And, yeah, brings that gap to Reservoir for the championship. Well, that's a 13-point deficit. So, it's now down to 2 points separating the pair of them. Unfortunate for Pat Sajatsa, he's now dropping back a bit more to the point where Lix is almost on the back of him for the championship as well, or for the third place in the championship. But yeah, in the end, Valtteri does take his second win of the season, his third podium of the season. Sprunky in second, Aledi rounding out that podium position. Reservoir in fourth, Pole Pose in fifth, Steve Date in sixth, MCR in seventh, Storm in eighth, Flicks in ninth, Stephen rounding out the top 10, Jordan in 11th, and well, the two Scotsmen, shall I say, if Jordan and Connects at the back of the points as well. Connects also picking up the fastest lap of the race. Ties in 13th, Jordan in 14th, or ERT Jordan in 14th, shall I say, DNFing with Oscar, Ryan B, Pat Sajapsa, and Gel all DNFing in this race as well, Jack. And like you were saying before the start of the stream, and like you were saying as well midway through, it's chaotic. And it definitely was chaotic.
Division 4, I honestly never know what to predict. Like, look at Tidge, 13 finishes, and he gets 0 points, and he was on for the win about 7 laps before that. So, God knows. You can't predict. Walter now, second driver to get 2 wins. Essentially for him, it's 2 wins in 2, because the 2 races in between, he didn't start. So, the 2 races that he's raced, he's won back-to-back, which will be positive for him. Closes the gap for Resify, and Japs has got some work to do now.
Yeah, no, he certainly does. So, yeah, what a race that was indeed. Considering it's the first one I've done for Division 4, that seemed very intense despite there being a lot of chaos that went down. Yeah, it was a very fun race to commentate on. So, I'm intrigued to see how the rest of this is going to sort of play out for... I'll be keeping an eye on Division 4 in case Tinkan decides he wants to do his 50% hiatus. I'll be happy to sort of jump in for Division 4 in future if need be. But 2-point gap now between Resify and Mr. Valter. Anything can still happen in his championship, considering that there's still another 10 more rounds to go after that. And it's Bahrain next. I think
Bahrain is a beautiful track. I'll be slapping my ABS all to the max, and I'll be enjoying that track.
Oh, I thoroughly cannot wait for that one. But I think that's all she wrote for the stream, Jack. Have you got any final words?
I'm looking forward to doing it every week. D4 every week has not let me down so far, and I don't think Bahrain's going to either. I will say, the League of Europe channel is 7 subscribers off of 800 subscribers. So if anyone is listening and hasn't, hit the button.
Hit that big red button. I know a lot of people say you should never hit the big red button, but hit that big red button. But yeah, thank you to everyone that has tuned in for tonight. Hopefully next week you will be with Tinkan as well as, of course, Nolan as well.
Debatable.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. It depends, again, if there's another Villa game for himself. But yeah, thanks to everybody that has tuned in for tonight. And make sure you catch Division 2 very, very soon. Me and Nolan, of course, being both in that at 8:10 with, I think it's actually going to be Verstappen and Old School doing it because Daka's not feeling too good. So he's going to be replacing him just for tonight. And then Division 5 as well, same time with Killer Blue and QVR Packer. Make sure you're all tuned in with those. But thanks to everyone for tuning in for tonight. And we'll catch you guys next week for round number 8 around the Bahrain International Circuit.